What's going on, folks? It is the True Vapor Show number 106. And yes, have you seen the title? Why would Phil BusaRDO do this? This is the big question that's been asked. And you ask, what do you mean, why would he do this? I mean, why in the hell would he do this shit show? I don't have a clue, but he has decided to do it again. So without further ado, our special guest, Mr. BusaRDO. I won't say Phil. I'll just say Mr. BusaRDO. No, take it away.
I actually quite hate Mr. BusaRDO. I really do. And I'll tell anybody who calls me Mr. BusaRDO at a show, I say the same exact thing all the time. I say, look, Mr. BusaRDO is my father's name. My name is Phil. Don't call me Mr. BusaRDO. And you know, why would Phil do this? It's funny because, you know, Scott, I ask myself that question, Scott, every time I do your show. It's the same question I ask myself. I guess number one, I'm a glutton for punishment. Number two, I really enjoy hanging out with you guys too. So
thank you very much.
You're welcome. Hi, good morning. Look at that mug, huh? Look at that.
Oh hell. So you know what? I got one I might be able to top you on.
Oh, there you go. All right.
Oh yeah. So what you vaping on today?
I am vaping 3 different items today. I am vaping the Vaporessa Revenger with a what is that? That is a Vika Fantasy tank. I am vaping. I really like this. I really do. The Inikin Chroma A with a Digiflavor Siren. And to keep up with you guys, okay, I've got an Aspire Speeder with their Athos tank, right? So I can make clouds too today.
Nice.
Right.
We'll have to do some type of cloud comp in your honor today for that, but
okay, I'll get out my super thick VG.
Oh yeah. And I would pass it down to Mark, but Mark has got a delivery going on. He
was talking about a delivery, and we both said the same thing. You know, Mark's got to accept those deliveries from Smoke, otherwise how else is he going to get paid,
right? That's right. Oh goodness. So man, you have been like, we keep in touch here and there, and it seems like every time that me and you talk, it's like you are on the go, busy as all get out.
Yeah.
It's just, is there any rest coming up, or we still on that traveling mode?
I'll rest when I'm dead, man. First of all, you know, I do apologize because you've asked me to be on the show several times now, and I've always seemed to have something going on, but you know, that is the God's honest truth. But I also promised that I would come back on the show. So here I am. And I always tell you the same thing. Just keep up on me. Just keep bugging me. And eventually, you know, the times will work. And it is always, I always say it's interesting that you have a show at 11 o'clock in the afternoon. But yeah, I just got back. Well, I got back from China a while ago. And then there were a bunch of family things going on. My family was here. I had my niece's anniversary party, my niece's graduation party, and that party was at the house, right? Mm-hmm. So there was just like tons and tons of people here. My backyard is destroyed. It's going to take like thousands of dollars in grass seed and fertilizer to get that thing back to where it was before. And it's actually good that you got me today because Sunday, my family's coming back up here. So my brother, my sister-in-law, my niece, my mother, my father, and they're going to be here for a week. So I'll be out of commission with the reviews next week or doing anything with vaping. But, you know, I mean, with Rochester, the summers are so short. And that's why I really try not to do a whole lot of travel. Did he come back? Is he back yet?
No, not yet.
How long does it take to get a package from Smoke? This is ridiculous.
Well, there's a few extras he's got to do in order to get his. So.
Could be. So yeah, so the summers are so short, and you know, I mean, I try to enjoy them as much as possible. So I try not to do that much travel, but every year it seems to be like a little bit more and more travel. Now I've got on the 15th of August, I'm going to drive with my wife. I'm going to drive to Evolve. They've invited me back to shoot their updated facility, right? So when I was there the last time and I shot their facility, they were like 2 pick and place machines, two lines, and it'll be interesting to see how Evolve has evolved, right? So I'm excited about that. Then I come back, and then after that, I think we're going back to China for a Sevilla USA meeting to talk about some of the changes with the FDA. And that is a potential because that trip was kind of planned before the changes were made with the FDA. So hopefully that's still going to happen. And then I got Paris coming up again. So yeah, it's just, one thing after the next, still trying to pump out the reviews, still trying to, keep up on everything else. But it's been busy. It's been fun. It's been fun, but it's been busy.
Now, the Paris thing, is that going to be like another expo going on over there, or is that some other type of business?
That's Vap Expo.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Vap Expo. I've been invited to that show since the show started. They do excellent. I mean, probably some of the best panel discussions of any show that I've ever been to. I mean, like the professionalism at that show is just, Scott, you got to see it. It's unbelievable. We sit there on a panel. It's kind of in a sunken conference area, and they have video cameras all around that where they could actually video the people who are talking, the people who are in the crowd, and so the monitors can switch between all of that stuff. As we're talking, we have monitors in front of us in case we're like displaying PowerPoint slides or things like that, so we can see, what we're talking to. The people in the crowd, they have earphones, right? Because a lot of them obviously speak French, but they have earphones for whatever language that they speak, and there's on-the-fly translations with the people in the pit to what we're saying so that they can hear. It's really a top-notch show. It really is a top-notch show, and I'm really, really proud to go back to that show year after year.
Let me ask you, because I know a lot of times when I see pictures of stuff that y'all like that y'all will post, does, like, say more or less like the China trips where you get in a lot of these meetings and stuff like that, does it ever, because you do it so much, kind of like your brain just starts kind of floating out there, or does it always like really keep your attention with everything going? It's just, I know there's a lot of information constantly pumped at y'all, especially like you and Dimitri when, like I say, when y'all travel, but is it too much, or does it really keep you enthused? Like, wow,
It does keep me enthused. Dimitri and I are major ball busters. I don't know if you've noticed that, or some of the things that you've seen online, some of the things that we throw back and forth. That's actually real life. Okay. I mean, that happens when I'm with him, the ball busting begins when I see him until he goes on his plane back to where, he lives. But the thing is about him and I is we can switch from that like ridiculously childish ball busting, right, to like as professional as we need to be and as focused as we need to be. If anything, some of the things that are getting, I guess, tiring or like, overdone is, believe it or not, the reviews, right? Because I kind of say this a lot. It's like I'm reviewing the next best thing that does all the same stuff as the last next best thing, right? I mean, because that's kind of how it's become. There's really no there's little bits of innovation here and there, but there's really nothing like groundbreaking, earth-shattering. We're not hitting our e-liquids with lasers yet, right? Exactly. It's always the same wick. It's always the same wire. It's always the, a volt is a volt is a volt. How many ways can you deliver a volt, right? So, I would like to see like real innovation. That's what makes me excited. That's what, like, when I see something that's like completely different, that's the thing that I want to review, right? But, there's so much stuff coming out, but no, it doesn't get tiring. If anything, it gets interesting because I think about what's the next thing that I want to tell the Chinese people, right? What's the next thing at that Sevilla meeting when I'm in front of the owners of all of the big e-cig manufacturers? What is the thing that I want to tell them? What is the thing that I want to promote or share or try to get them on board with, right? That to me is exciting.
Nice. And it's funny you say that because the other day
I'm starting to wonder if he got a delivery from Smoke, or if maybe he like his next like sex toy, and maybe he wants to try it out. Maybe he wants to try it out before he comes on the show. Could that be it?
That could be.
What could he possibly be doing?
And
Maybe he's pooping.
Mark has been known to get into some like crazy stuff and then all of a sudden just flip the camera on. So
Okay.
my heart's kind of like beating a little bit, thinking, please don't come on with something crazy. But
no, I want him to come on with something crazy. Absolutely.
Well, the only thing is the show will get shut down real quick.
Well, are you guys monitored? Are you?
Well, YouTube doesn't always play nice when they see certain things. So.
Are we on YouTube or Google Hangout, or do you put it up on Google?
No, we're on YouTube right now.
Oh, we're YouTube live. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how any of this shit works.
But I was thinking about that myself the other night, and we've talked about this. But you're right. With so many things coming out now, it's kind of like everything is pretty good. I mean, a lot of stuff is good. And when you've got to start digging for cons, like it's like, man, I at least got to give this one con, or I'm just going to look like,
That's a really, really good point, Scott. That's a really good point, because I've noticed, like, when I think about my thumbs up, thumbs down, right? I'm always looking for something wrong with the product. Okay. Yep. And it's really good when I can say it's wrong based on the testing, based on numbers, right? If the numbers don't match, well, then it's wrong. It's not my opinion. But a lot of the wrong stuff is also going to be my opinion, like the speeder. Okay. The side switch, okay, is like, when I think of a side switch, I think that entire switch should be able to be pushed, right? That's a side switch. Well, it's really not, because if you look at the design, if you look inside of this, the button is right up there. That's where the switch is. This whole bar is hinged at the bottom, right? So if I'm holding it down here, I can't side switch it. I can't squeeze it, right? So, that's a fact. That would be a fact about the product that I can share with people. Exactly. Now, the opinion thing is, I find it a little bit slippery, and if this side and this side were rubber grips, now I can kind of hold it better. Right. But I mean, I always give like both sides of the story, and the video is actually done for this. I wanted to get it up last night, but like I told you, we lost like Spectrum cable just went gone. Right. So I lost my phone, my internet, my cable, everything. So like, and that's a challenge, because my wife, she's got to watch Golden Girls every night, and she couldn't do that last night. So I had to set her up with like my media server. So she had to watch stuff on my media server, and that's all loaded up with stuff like Terminator and Star Trek and Star Wars and all that stuff. She's like, I don't want to watch any of this stuff. And like, it was a big process. So.
Real quick, folks out in chat, I'm trying to kind of keep my eyes on chat. If you got questions for Phil, please do, as we always do, put them in caps so I can kind of decipher what's going on here. But yeah, it's like I said, a lot of times if I mess with something, of course, not near as big as y'all and don't get near the product y'all get, but for what I do get, it's like sometimes you just can't find anything wrong, and it's like, I know when I throw this up, there's going to be hate, because right. you can't find anything wrong,
Yeah, absolutely right. And the other thing too is that, don't forget, these companies are learning from their mistakes, right? Yeah. So the mistakes that we've seen in the past are not happening anymore. So a lot of the thumbs down, and especially like an overall thumbs down, that doesn't happen very often anymore, because for me, an overall thumbs down is something that's vape affecting, something that stops your vape, right? Yeah. And that just simply doesn't happen anymore. So, I mean, that's a good thing, but it's a bad thing from a reviewer, because it starts to look like a biased review, because it's like thumbs up after thumbs up after thumbs up, overall, right? So that's why, I also try to be a little bit critical, with devices too. And I'll get some hate on that, but I really don't care. My opinion is my opinion. So be it. But things are getting better. I mean, they're learning. The products are getting better. That's just the way it is. Hey, speaking of getting paid by Smoke, look who joined.
I see that.
Basically, Smoke messaged me and asked me if I'd come on and take Mark's place, because he's busy signing a contract.
What's going on, Mike?
What's up? Good morning, everyone.
Hey, Mike. How you doing, bud?
What's up, Phil? ST. Phil, what you just said is so on the money, because recently in a lot of videos, I feel that it's hard to find cons with stuff, major cons. And I say it, you guys think that, we're doing it to get free products, and it's not. This to be all good on their review and praise the product, but they're doing good shit. They fix their mistakes. Their products are getting better and better. It's hard to find cons. There are the subjective cons.
Exactly.
Like a subjective con for like Phil would be something that basically only sub-ohms, for example. That's what would be like a subjective. But that's all those minor things. If something doesn't come with a 510 drip tip adapter, or little stupid stuff. But there's no major flaws in devices that come out now. I rarely find any.
It's like it's either a complete bomb or it's good. There's like no in between anymore. It's almost. But quick question from Addy Tooney. He wants
Addy,
Phil, how is your line doing?
Let's not talk about the line. I've got
okay.
You're doing lines?
I actually what?
You're doing lines? What happened?
Yeah, I just did several about 1 footers on my my. How else am I gonna like stand a Scott interview? No, yeah, let's not talk about that. I've got some issues there. Maybe the whole story will be told someday, but today is not the day.
Okay, gotcha. Next question then. Well, I got a question for you. Of course, me, Mike, Mark, all of us get to talk. What is your feeling on everything that's going on now with the FDA and all this stuff?
Well, I mean, let's admit it. It's really good news, right? It's good news. It's good news that they're finally thinking in terms of harm reduction as opposed to just ban everything. We got the 4-year extension, but I think now's not the time to relax, right? Now's the time to rethink our ways, to continue to fight, to continue to be proactive, to continue to stay on the ball with everything, to continue to support in any way, shape, or form that you can with advocacy. We still need to get the predicate date changed. I think that's still important. But something that I said in just a recent video was, when you look at and listen to what they're saying, right? They're interested in tobacco harm reduction, but they keep talking about the kids. They keep talking about the children, the kids. Look, I would love to live in a world where, fuck it. I'm just. Can I say fuck it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh good. Okay. Fuck it.
We promote it.
Okay. Well, then I'll say it again. Fuck it. I'm gonna do whatever label I want. I don't care how childish it is. I don't care about any of that stuff. I don't care. Well, if you don't care, you're part of the problem, okay? Because let's go back, and I'm not sure if I talked about this on the show the last time, but we say it's 95% safer than smoking, right? Well, that 95% I think that is a subjective number, and I think it depends on what and how you vape, right? But if it's 95% safer than smoking, that means it's 5% not safer than doing nothing, right? So there is still some kind of harm factor, and any vapor that's going to tell you that there is no harm when it comes to vaping is lying to you, right? And needs to be educated as to what we're doing. We cannot promote this thing that is not safer than doing nothing to kids. We can't do it, right? And when we look at a lot of this marketing and when we look at a lot of this labeling, it is whether or not it is done intentionally is beside the point. It looks like we are. It looks like we are. So that needs to be fixed. That needs to be changed, because until that gets fixed and until that gets changed, they're going to continue to really look at this industry under a microscope. Right now, I don't think it can be. I don't think it can be self-regulated, because there's too many numbskulls out there that are just going to do it anyway. And there's too many vapors out there that are going to support that kind of behavior. Right. So if we can't do it ourselves, they're going to do it for us. But them doing it for us may come with other things that we don't want for the industry. Right. I mean, I just posted something on my Facebook the other day. They're releasing these little atomizers, but they put glasses on them and a mouth. They're calling them the Minions atomizer.
There it is.
You have one?
I just got it yesterday.
You got it. Right.
Mike loves it. I've already reviewed it. Oh, you crazy? There's a story behind this here. I've actually myself and I think other reviewers too. We bashed them.
Oh, you did?
In their emails, and they already sent me new pictures of the new atomizer. They said they're not releasing this, but they sent this out before that happened.
Well, I got the email yesterday.
You know?
Yeah,
Which email?
I got the email about that atomizer yesterday.
Right. They showed me actually a picture of the new version. I have a picture of it.
Cool.
They're using a skull with crossbones.
There we go. Much better.
The minion character.
Yeah. So, you know, when I got that email, I said, you know, I just responded, really bad idea. I want nothing to do with this. Right. So some of the, I personally think that the industry can help itself by not doing things like that at this point.
No. It's China. They don't know any better.
What else does the company make? Are they a well-known company or just some like new company or something? You know?
SMKON.
Oh, okay, those guys.
Those guys. It's basically one of their what do you call it? Like sister companies.
Is that the company that they had the picture of the kid with the mod in their hand?
That was like Smoke Joy or something.
Oh, okay.
Did you see that one, by the way, Phil?
No, I didn't see. It's a good thing I didn't see that one. So you guys are pretty much on the same page that I am when it comes to that stuff.
Definitely. Yeah, we found or I forget who found it, but somebody had seen a picture on Instagram, and basically it looks like a 13-year-old kid sitting on a park bench or something with a little, what was it, like a
Mech mod or something, right?
Yeah, something like that. Just sitting there vaping, and it's like, and that was the promoting picture for their product.
Yep. Unbelievable.
And it's like, what the hell are you thinking? You know, so obviously not in this country, you know, but sometimes.
Yeah, and it's like I haven't talked to any reviewer that doesn't feel the same way when it comes to this stuff. Even the oh god, what's the name of that group that sometimes creates a little bit? They had some drama with Dimitri. I can't think of their names.
Legion.
Yeah, the Legion. Even they're like really against the childish stuff and the childish labeling. So it's really surprising that we're still seeing some of it. But I agree with what you said, Mike, is that a lot of this stuff comes out of China. They just don't understand. Yeah. But I think they need to get a crash course in understanding before they hurt the industry more.
Yep. Yeah. Maybe that's something on your next trip. I know that you meet up with a lot of these companies. I mean, the major companies that you meet up with from China, they don't do that kind of stuff. It's more of the unknown companies.
It is
that does that, and
a lot of the e-liquid manufacturers here.
Yeah, and but the word somehow has to be reached out to the unknowns in China that they need to stop making cartoon character devices and stuff. You know.
Yeah, I don't get that at all. I don't know how that those two even got associated with one another. You know, it makes no sense.
Yeah. As far as the Minions, okay, and I even put in that post, I'm a grown man. I like Minions. I've been on the Minion ride in Universal. I love the movies. I love Minions. I actually have a Minion.
Did he freeze?
Yep.
Yes, he did. Oh, look at that. That was a perfect freeze, too.
What, you got one?
There he is. He just came back.
You froze for a second there, Phil.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I mean, I've got a Minion mod up on the shelf, but it's never been photographed. It's never been videoed. I've never used it. You know, I mean, it's just part of my collection, right? I years ago, actually at the Paris, I think it was the Paris show, somebody wanted to convert like a toy Star Trek phaser into a mod for me, and I gave it to him. I never got it back, but you know, I mean, that could be considered childish too, but that's not something that I'm going to promote. That's not something I'm going to show. That's not something I'm going to, you know, talk about in a video. That's just going to be part of my collection, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's a big difference. There's a big difference between modding something for an individual because of that individual's likes and mass producing a product for the masses. There's a big difference there, right?
Well, you know, this is just like what, about a year ago when we started to see more and more of the Pokemon ball type mod or whatever it was, and it started floating around, people taking pictures of it, thinking, "Oh, this is cool." But like you say, Phil, if it's something in your personal stash or however that might be, but you literally promoting stuff like that, showing it out there, it's like,
yeah. And I mean, I hated even that I put that post up about the minion atomizers, because now I didn't put like where they came from. I didn't put the company name or where you could buy them, but just putting the photo up there in a way is promotion. In a way, that's like what they're looking for. I think some of the shock value stuff, right? That's why I stopped.
Nobody knows about this company. Now they know.
Now they know, right? So that's even why, like, I stopped showing childish labels on Facebook, or talking about like, hey, look at this one, look at how bad this one is, because inevitably in the comments what you get is, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing that. Oh my God, how could they do something like that? That's going to destroy the industry. Where can I get some?
You think some of these companies, like e-juice companies and like the mod makers, do you think they purposely do this to get their name out there sometimes? Like childish labels on e-juice and stuff like that?
I think there is a small percentage that do. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a small percentage that do. I for the most part, I don't think that's the goal. But I would be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if there was just to put out that shock value thing that people are going to hate this. They're going to say so many bad things about it. But sometimes there's no such thing as bad publicity, right? So you're still getting promoted, you're still getting publicity, even though it's negative publicity. I think a good example is years ago, crab juice, right? Crab juice was one of the most horrible, disgusting flavors like ever created by man. Yet it had everybody talking about that company. So it's like, okay, well, let's go buy that horrible flavor. But while we're at this site, let's see what else they have. Let's buy some other stuff. Let's see if they have some good stuff. So, that could be some of what's going on too.
Yep, I remember that stuff. Never tried it, but I always heard about it.
You're a lucky man. Never tried it.
Well, see, and I'm one of those people too that, I guess guilty or not, I never look at a box or what the box contains or any type. I've always just been, if the juice is good, that's what I'm looking for. It's not what the labeling is on there. Now, I know for a lot of people, I mean, Mike's got a juice company. Phil has one. I know that is part of the selling process is the labeling. And I don't believe in doing the stuff that would attract kids, but I've also got to be honest to say too, I've been one of those that really never looked at a label. And a lot of time mine is like hearing through others, like, oh man, this is some good stuff. It's not like, ooh, I got the box looking at it thinking, well, let me read this box before I just open stuff up and try it. That's what I'm about. So,
right. Well, it's funny that you say that, because when I just got back from the Toronto show, and I was on a panel there, and the question that was asked is, we get to push a button and we get to take away anything from the industry that we want, and we get to bring back anything to the industry that we want, right? So that was the question that was asked. So I pushed the button and I took away two things. I took away the and maybe this is what happened. So the thing that I took away was the unfair regulations to the industry, right? I still think the industry needs regulations, but it needs regulations so that people can still continue to do business, right? Continue to do good business. It can't put anybody out of business, right? The other thing that I took away was every vision in my head of Dimitri in his underwear. So those were the two things that I took away. The thing that I brought back was the way shows used to be. I think we've all been to the shows of the past, the vape bashes and the VaporCons, where it was just a big room in a hotel. Surrounding that room were all these banquet tables. Everybody had their own little banquet table, right? And in the center of the room were all of the tables where everybody would get together and they would do builds, and they would have their tackle boxes, and they were all helping each other vape, right? And it was more about getting people off of cigarettes, but it was the tables on the outside where the vendors were, right? Because it wasn't about how big is my display, how big is my my booth, how grand is my booth, how fancy is my booth, or how hot are the models at my booth, right? It was about how good is your product, right? So I had this idea, this concept for a show. What if we were to go back to that kind of a show, and on the outside were all of those tables, right? And you couldn't even display the label for your e-liquid. Every e-liquid was just in white labels, right? So now it's not about your label anymore. It's about how good is your product? How good is that liquid that's in that bottle? Now, if somebody wants to buy it, now you get the official label, whatever that label might be, right? But I thought that was a really, really cool concept where, you know, sometimes people are jaded by what they see with the display or the label or the packaging or how hot the models are or how grand the display is or how cool the car is in front of your display. But it becomes more about like how good is the product.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
But they have toned it down, though. I mean, I don't see like, for example, like the vape models, women dressed in bikinis walking around conventions anymore. You don't see that. You don't really see even like cloud comps. Those have disappeared. Even cloud comps in vape shops. You don't really see them anymore.
Yeah, no, I mean, I see things turning for the better without a doubt, but there's still some things that you see out there. You're like, maybe that shouldn't be done, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, everything is getting better, and that's the discouraging part, right? Because you've got a lot of people out there right now that are really trying to do the right thing. Right. So, I mean, e-liquids, they're not being made in homes anymore. They're being made in labs under proper, conditions, ISO conditions with, proper manufacturing standards. We've got devices that are just getting better and better. We've got, we like you said, the shows are starting to clean up and you've got all of this good stuff happening. But you know what? It could be 99% good, but that 1% is going to bring the industry down. And that 1% has to go away.
Yep.
Yep.
So the China trip you've got coming up, what is this one going to entail? Is this more just going to different companies or more the meeting style type thing?
Well, the last one was a meeting style. The last one, that's why we really didn't report on it. It was more of a working trip. The next one is probably going to be more of a touring, but primarily it's going to be a Sevilla USA trip, right? So I think we're trying to get Azim to go with us so that he could present to the major Chinese manufacturers. Obviously, Dimitri's going to present. I'm going to present. But because it's not going to be a working trip, we also want to tour a couple of the factories and, obviously share that with everybody, some of the factories that we haven't toured. But my goal on this trip is also to tour, because it's something that we haven't seen yet, is e-liquid manufacturing in China.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
E-liquid coming out of China has got a really, really bad name. And we want to see what that looks like there compared to what we've seen here in the States, right? So I think that would be really interesting, not only for myself, but for the people who are going to watch that video.
Do you think that they, excuse me,
No.
do you think that because they know you're coming, they're going to change their ways if they were doing it the wrong way? You know what I'm saying?
That's a super, super good question, Mike. And it's actually something that we thought about originally when we went and we toured the Kanger. I remember you asking them that. Are you just doing this just for show, or is this the way it really is? I remember you saying. And when you go and you see the operation and you see the scale of the operation, you could kind of make up in your own mind. You're like, okay, that stuff, there's no way they could have implemented in time for us to show up, but maybe they changed a little bit, right? Maybe they don't go through that door. Maybe when we're not here, they go through the other door, right? And even Dimitri and I joke when we talked about visiting an e-liquid manufacturer. I said I pretended to be a Chinese guy, and I got on the phone. I'm like, okay, order 3,000 lab coats. Order, because I mean that's certainly something that could be happening. But when you see it on the scale of which it's happening, you start to realize that there's things happening here that they could not have implemented as well as they did, just from the time they found out that we were coming to the time that we're here. Right. But hey, I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, there's always that possibility. All right. My question is,
how much e-juice have you actually tried made over there?
Not a lot. I mean, well, I really can't say not a lot because, well, when I started vaping, that's all I vaped, right? It was Decang. I mean, that Decang is what got me off of traditional tobacco cigarettes. And I'm somehow still here to talk about it today. And, you know, and I mean, and that was back in the days where things weren't being done as well as they're being done today. I mean, I have photos of e-cig production from back in those days, back in the, what was that, 90, well, whatever it was, 2009, where the production facilities are just horrible. They're horrible. And when you compare them to what they look like today, they're night and day. So again, you know, I'm vaping this Decang. I have no idea where Decang is made. I have no idea how it's made, right? But here I am talking to you about it. So obviously it didn't kill me. So I think it'll still be interesting to see what that looks like, you know?
Exactly. Do you know, because I don't really research China e-liquid at all or anything made from over there, but do you look to see what kind of profiles they have opposed to what we would have here? Because it seems like in the US, you know, there's any profile to suit anybody's needs, but over there, is it kind of limited to like certain things? Or are they just as broad as what we are?
You know, when I look, what I've seen, and that could be changing, because I mean, I really haven't researched a whole lot of Chinese e-liquid manufacturing at this point. But everything that I've seen is they're simpler flavors, right? They're simpler, like fruits and bakeries, and like single note flavors, nowhere near as complex as the some of the flavor profiles that we have here in the States. And like I said, I'm not sure if that's changed or that's going to change. I know Hang Sen's got some big things. I think they even have a plant that they're building in America, in California, where they're going to do e-liquids there. So, I mean, I'm sure that, you know, much like, you know, they look on YouTube and Facebook to see what the trends are with devices, they're probably going to do the same thing with e-liquids, right? I would imagine they would. That would make sense.
Yeah. Another question from Mr. Fedom. He wants to know, are you big into the squawking thing?
You know, I would be bigger in the squawking thing if I could find a really good, outside of some of the older atomizers that I have, just like 22 millimeter squawkers that do proper mouth to lung, right? Because I think most of the squawking atomizers right now are more for direct lung or restricted direct lung. So I'm kind of on the lookout for that. I do have a bunch of squawk boxes. I've reviewed some in the past. I know the popularity is picking up, especially because of the TPD compliance. You can, you know, put, you know, your own bottle in there and be over 2 mil. But I haven't looked at a squawk box in a long time. There also haven't been very, very many, if you want to call them big manufacturer squawk boxes. I noticed most of the squawk boxes are, they tend to be more like the some of the high-end stuff or some of the smaller companies making them. But like I haven't seen one recently from like, you know, an Aspire, an Inikin, a Kanger, a Joytech. But when they come out, I'll definitely look at them, but I don't use them a whole lot right now.
Yeah, Lost Vape and H Cigar have come out with Lost Vape's actually come out with 2 of them. H Cigar's come out with 1. I know Asmodeus is coming out with 1. Should be released any day now. Watofo's coming out with an affordable one. That's good. Should be out very soon. So they're starting.
Yeah. See, like Mike knows much more than I do. So you should just interview Mike. I mean,
I got a question for you. I know you're a big Svoj Mesto fan. Have you got, or are you going to review or look at that this RDA that came out? The RD, what is it? CA, the Gorgon or whatever.
That's
not really your style, but
yeah, they haven't even contacted me on that one, and that's really no surprise because they know that I'm holding out for their next mouth to lung addy that they've got coming out. But probably not. They haven't even contacted me on it.
No. Yeah, I figured it wouldn't be your style, but I was just...
Yeah, you know, lately with the I can just kind of look at a mouthpiece and know if I'm going to review an atomizer or not. And you know, you holding that up, I could say that's probably not something that I would review. I tend to look at the tanks of that style or that nature if they come packaged in the device. It's the device that I'm more interested in. Like I said, I just did the speeder review I had problems with the cable last night, but I think it is up on YouTube right now. So as soon as I'm done with this show, I'm going to release that review. So this tank, like if they sent me the tank, right, and they did send me the tank by itself, I'd probably not review that. Unless there was something really innovative, or maybe they wanted to do a quick look or a show and tell. But when they send me the kit and the tank is part of the kit, then what I'll do is I'll talk generally about the tank. I'll show people the features. I'll vape it a little bit. But I always say when I'm using a tank like this, I say for me, it's good. It's producing good flavor. It's producing big clouds. But if you want to know more about this tank from how this tank compares to another direct lung or another restricted direct lung, go find a reviewer that's how they vape, because they're going to know more about it than I do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a pretty fair thing to say.
Oh yeah, the mod is awesome. I love the speeder mod. The tank not so much, but
No, you don't like the tank?
not really.
See, and that's interesting, right? Because I had absolutely no problems with the tank, right? For me, the tank produces a big cloud and produces pretty good flavor. So, like, I'm curious now, what do you not like about the tank?
I had it sitting on my desk, and every day it would leak on me.
Well, that's a problem.
I don't know what it was, but I was just more interested in the mod, not so much the tank. And I was going to kind of do what you just said, just kind of show the tank, but not really talk about it. I was more interested in reviewing the mod than the tank.
What did you think about the side button? Because we had a conversation and you were picking up your smoke package.
I enjoy it. I have really no problems with it. Why you guys don't like it?
What I don't like about it is that when I consider a side switch, I consider that I should be able to squeeze that switch anywhere and it's going to fire, right? That, to me, that's a proper side switch, right? But it's actually hinged. There's like a point at the bottom where it locks into the base, and then there's a tab at the top. And then if you look at the design, the switch, the actual switch, is sitting right there at the top of the device, right? So this whole bar angles in to actually make contact with that switch. So if I'm holding it down here, I can't push it, right? So I think I like the idea, right? I just think it's not well implemented.
Yeah,
that's why
I had a device just like that I just reviewed that had the button on the very corner, and the button, the actual switch was like on the top and on the side, but the actual mechanism was in the corner, and it was so odd to fire it.
Yeah.
Well, the majority of them are like that. Like for example, even like the E-Leaf ones with the side buttons, they're all like that. I think,
and that's interesting because I haven't looked at a whole lot of side switches, switch devices, because most of the ones that have come out are really, really high wattage, and I've recently made the decision to look at a few more of those devices, because number one, that's all that's coming out, but number two, I got a couple of really good emails from folks saying that, hey Phil, we would really appreciate you rethink your ways of not reviewing high wattage devices, because we trust your numbers, we trust your reviews, and we also trust the torture testing that you do with the devices. So that made me think that maybe I could provide some benefit there. So that's why I'm looking at those as well. But I mean, like, even though I'm reviewing this, I'm doing the numbers and everything. I mean, I still vape it, around 13 watts.
Dang.
So with all this, I'm always curious, with all this traveling and all this other stuff you do, how the hell do you keep up with your channel, your YouTube channel?
It's a challenge. I mean, it suffers at times without a doubt. I still aim for at least one video per week. Actually, I aim for 2 videos per week, but that's a challenge. I mean, it's a challenge with the traveling. It's a challenge with juggling personal life, family coming to town. I don't even think about me when we talk about stuff like that. I think about like Dimitri. Dimitri's got kids, right? I mean, if I had kids, I have no idea how I would be able to do something like this. Or if I had, a needy, clingy wife. Luckily, my wife is really, she's an independent person. She allows me to do the things that I do. But if it wasn't for those things, I don't know. I don't know how I'd be able to do it all. But I mean, the videos definitely they suffered. I'm the first one to admit it.
Yeah.
I don't get to look at as much product as I would like. But the other thing too, when you add on the time that I take to do the reviews, like, right. So this one, now the first thing that I got to do is I got to use it until the battery's drained. And at 13 watts, you can imagine that's like 2 days right there. right, of just using the device. But that's good because I get to use it, you know, at my 13 watts. I get to use it in temperature control. I'll use it with this atomizer a little bit. But I mean, I actually use the products. So when you add that into, on top of that, you know, doing the testing and doing the numbers and creating the graphs and the charts and doing all that shit and putting it all together, I mean, you're talking about like almost a week just to look at the product, right? So it is a challenge. It is.
I thought you reviewed your products right out of the mailbox.
That's what I do. You know what?
Here we go.
I take them out of the mailbox. I open them up. I'm like, watch this. Look at it. What?
That's the new thing.
It makes vapor. You should buy it right now. And how much are they paying me on PayPal? Okay, yeah, you should buy this right now. And one of the most frustrating things that I see is when a device is released on a Wednesday and there's reviews for it on a Wednesday night.
Yep.
I mean, that just drives me insane, you know. But hey, you know, look, if that's what people want to see, if that's what people want to do, that's fine. Everybody has a right to do and see what they want. But you know, from me, you're going to get maybe not a timely review. You're going to get a ridiculously long review. You're going to get, you know, all the tech stuff that I put in the videos, and I make no apologies for that. You know, I get to these devices when I can get to them. I use them and test them to the best of my ability. And then I put the information out there. So it's up to you whether or not you want to watch it.
I think the funniest one, I don't want to say funny, but the one that I had seen from you a while back is when you just literally lit into the Camry one you did. Oh my gosh.
You know what I remember about that review? I remember saying this: some companies should just not do temperature control. Right. And that is a company that should just not do temperature control. And they were so persistent on that review. I mean, they want, like, every day. I get to a point sometimes with the Chinese manufacturers where I will say, look, I will get to it when I get to it. If you want, I will send the product back. Right. As soon as you say that, things change a little bit. They're like, oh no, take all the time that you want. We're sorry. You do what you got to do. I said, okay. And they gotta understand, you know, that I'm gonna like be blatantly honest with the device, because if I'm not doing that, if I'm not being completely honest with everything that I test, with everything that I experience, I'm wasting my time and I'm wasting your time, right? So that's just something that I'm not gonna do. And, you know, when I get a product like that, I'm going to, you know, give my honest opinion. But like we said before, luckily that is not happening. Or when that does happen, it's few and far between at this point. Right. Because things are getting really, really good, especially from the major manufacturers.
I'm curious what I should have asked this a minute ago, but because you've been so much more busy with, you know, the traveling and handling the other side of the business other than YouTube, have you noticed a slowdown in product that's actually coming to the house now, or has it still been coming pretty full force? You
know, I noticed that more, not because of the travel and not because of, you know, the things that I'm doing. I've noticed that more when I've kind of made the statement that I'm not looking at higher power devices and I'm not looking at direct lung devices. Right. So gotcha. I wind up, you know, getting less product, and I wind up having manufacturers a little bit less interested in a BusaRDO review. Right. But like when the speeder came out, I contacted Kiki. Kiki's my contact over there at Aspire. I also know Tony and everybody over there. But I said, Kiki, are you sending me the speeder? And she said, well, you know, we weren't going to send it to you because you're not looking at high power devices. So there you go. And I explained to her, I said, well, some things have changed, so I am going to start looking at, you know, a few more of these, and, you know, I'm interested in it. So right away, they sent it out. But like, still the direct lung stuff, and I know it's wildly popular, but here's my problem. For me to properly review a device, I got to use it. That's what we just talked about, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't enjoy direct lung, right? It doesn't satisfy me. And everybody vapes the way they want. And if that satisfies you, fantastic. If it doesn't satisfy you, fantastic. Find something that does. But for me, it's like, it's like, I want that cigarette, but I'm drinking a glass of water, and I can't, so I have a hard time reviewing that if I'm not using it and being satisfied by it.
Yeah.
So I think it has affected some of the product that comes my way, and I don't look at everything, and I'm slow to the reviews, so obviously I don't get as much product. But have I seen a slowdown? Not really. I mean, am I hurting for product review? No, not even a little bit. Not even a little bit.
That's how I'm the exact opposite. Like if I get a mouth to lung or a low wattage device, I have a hard time reviewing it because I can't enjoy the vape off of it.
Exactly.
That's how I vape,
And there's nothing wrong with that. But the problem that I would have, right, is if you don't enjoy doing that, and that's not your style, right, and that's not your everyday vape, you putting out a legitimate review on that product. The same way I would have a hard time putting out a legitimate review on an atomizer that has 17 coils jammed in it, right? Because it's just not, how can I be the expert on that if it's simply not how I vape? Yep. Right now, I can show that product, I can show the features of that product, but I really can't talk to how that product performs because I'm not the expert in that area.
And I think what a lot of people associate too is that unless they've actually kept up with you, you were about one of the only well-known reviewers that is mouth to lung. All the other big boys are pretty much straight lung.
And you know what? Good.
But I think you get thrown into that category sometimes that people that might not know you, that's new to YouTube and vaping, they automatically think, oh, well, he's straight lung just like everybody else is on this stuff. So,
Right. But I mean, if I could be that guy, that, talks to the smoker who's transitioning, talks to the 40 and over crowd, talks to the mouth to lung crowd, fine. I can live with that all day long, right? Because I think every vapor out there, they need to find a reviewer that they can relate to. If that reviewer is covered head to toe in tattoos and piercings, fine. That's fantastic. They can relate to that person. If they can relate to me better, fine. They need to find that person that's going to help them through the transition and keep them vaping and keep them off of cigarettes. And if that's me, great. If that's Mike, great. If that's Scott, great. If it's Grim Green, great. If it's Rip Trippers, great. I don't care. Just let's not smoke anymore.
That's true.
Totally agree.
Here's a question. Phil, don't you think products have been getting better because you and DJLLSB Vapes, Mr. Daniel, test and report the major issues to the Chinese manufacturers?
Yes. Not just me, not just DJLSB, not just Daniel, but all reviewers. These Chinese manufacturers, they watch, they listen, they learn. They really do. Okay. And I've often said that my reviews, and this is just, speaking from my reviews, are some of the best free consultation that these Chinese manufacturers can get, right? Because they can look at the review and they can say, okay, well, this is what we did wrong. Let's fix it on the next model. Let's fix it on the next revision. Let's fix it in the firmware, right? Mm-hmm. Now, the downside to that is they make millions of dollars and I make nothing. Yeah. I think all of the reviewers will agree with that. The review on the speeder, this is one that really kind of, this one miffed me. I didn't show it that much in the video, but I said something about it. On the speeder, on the back right over here, I've already removed it. They have a QR code, okay? And that QR code is so that you can shoot it with a camera or with your cell phone, and it gives information about the product, on how to use the product. Okay, here's the thing. The last time we were in China, that is an idea that Dimitri and I had for a product that we're working on, okay, or for a project that we're working on. And we shared that with Aspire.
There you go.
Stolen from you.
Live and learn, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that miffed me a little bit. Now that's not to say that they didn't have the idea on their own, but I mean, it's kind of interesting that after we shared the idea with them, all of a sudden it shows up on their product, right? So yeah, look, they have made money off of me. They have made money off of every single reviewer, because don't forget, okay, never forget that not only are these reviews, but this is major free advertising for these companies, okay, and in an environment where they have no way to advertise. Really, I mean, it's hard to take out, outside of vaping magazines. You can't really advertise in mainstream stuff. You can't do TV ads. So where do you advertise this stuff? We're the advertisers. We really are.
Yeah.
So they've made plenty of money off of reviewers.
Let me ask you this, because you have made the trip to China a decent amount of times now, and I don't know if I've asked this on previous shows, but what is somewhat the ratio of how people vape over there? More mouth to lung or direct lung?
Let's talk about that for a while. It's a very interesting thing that happens in China, because you have to understand that smoking is so ingrained into the culture in China. It really, really is. So I can tell a couple of stories, right?
Yep.
So the one story that I like to tell is I was at an event and somebody offered me a cigarette. And I said, no, thank you. Right. I said, I don't smoke. And I turned around and I was talking to the person I was talking to originally. What I didn't know was that I majorly offended that person that I just denied taking the cigarette. And somebody had to go over there and smooth things out for me. Okay. Because it's offensive if I don't take the cigarette. Now at not Joytech, their sister company, Ovali. I was at the Ovali holiday party, okay, and at the banquet tables, every seat came with its own. This is an e-cig company. Every seat came with its own pack of cigarettes. Now I'm on stage, okay, giving a talk, thanking Ovali for these tobacco harm reduction products that they're making, thanking them for getting people off of cigarettes. And I'm talking to a room full of people that are smoking, right? So, that's one of the challenges there. The other challenge is cigarettes are dirt cheap there. It's cheaper to smoke than it is to vape, right? Yeah. So what I've seen from going to the shows in China, I've actually seen people smoking at the booths at some of the shows in China. How about that? But what I've seen is, you got to understand the evolution of vaping. We, or me at least, as a 48-year-old vapor, and when I started in vaping, 2009, I was able to take the journey, right? I was able to start with a stick battery and transition through different products, find what I liked, what I didn't like. Settled on mouth to lung because that's what I enjoy, because that most for me resembles smoking. I was a long time smoker before that, but I was able to take the journey. People who are starting today, they don't really get the journey. They're just kind of plopped into the middle of everything, and they just go to maybe what's popular or what's trending, or they didn't get that journey. They didn't get to take the journey. They didn't get to get off the exits of the journey and stay. So you've got that. So what I've noticed in China is that it's not about tobacco harm reduction. It's about being cool. It's about being cool. So what I tend to see is more direct lung, more cloud chasing, really no thought of tobacco harm reduction at all. And they go into the show and they buy their product. And, this is, of course, there's always exceptions to the rule, but they go in, they buy their product, they're blowing their clouds, they're having a good time. They leave the show, they light up a cigarette. Right? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what I saw. And I see that not only from the people who are attending the events and the vapors there, but I see that from the manufacturers themselves. Like George from Innikin is one of the few people that I will say was a smoker and is no longer a smoker. He is a vapor, and he understands he does it because of tobacco harm reduction. And he's got people in his family that he converted because of tobacco harm reduction, right? Because he wants to live longer. But I've seen other manufacturers where they just smoke. That's actually going to be for our next trip at the Sevilla meeting. If it happens, it's going to be a topic of my conversation where let's start leading by example. You know, you as the manufacturer of an electronic cigarette should be using your product. Yeah. And you should be using your product because you want to live longer. So if your friend, and this is a cultural change, right? So it's a bigger deal than, you know, just here where we smoke because we enjoy it. This is part of their culture. So now when your friend sees you vaping and says, why are you vaping? Why don't you have this cigarette? You as the owner of that company say, because I want to live longer, because this is safer. Here's the numbers. Here's the results. Here's the proof that this is a safer way for me to get my nicotine than smoke. When that happens, when they lead by example, I even told George from Minikin, I said, why don't you have like an all-employee meeting, right? Because you got a lot of people that smoke in the company. Have an all-employee meeting, talk about tobacco harm reduction, talk about why we actually build these products and make these products, and offer all of their employees that want to quit, offer them a T18 or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. Which I think they do anyway, but like just let's start leading by example and let's just change the culture. Okay, let's stand behind these products that we're making for the right reasons.
Yeah. When I went to Vegas with UL, I remember the dude from UL, and he was setting the booth up. He pulled out his ashtray, lit up a cigarette. I started freaking out. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? He just started smoking at the Expo.
And that what really sucked is that I'd walk past there, and Mark was sitting right next to him smoking with him. So
then I told him, like, you can't be smoking. People are going to walk past and see you smoking. They're going to keep on walking.
Yep.
Hey, speaking of events in the U.S., so I just thought about this. So you're one of the few that got to hang out with Mr. Rip Trippers there a little while back. How was that?
How about that, huh?
Yeah.
That was cool.
What sparked him to go out there to that?
I don't know. I don't know what got him. I know that they were kind of launching his new line or his liquid line, and they were promoting his liquid line. So they got him to go to the event out there in California, and it was really interesting meeting him and talking to him, because I met him first at the show, hung out with him at the show. We signed autographs together, which is like not my thing, but they wanted me to do that, so I did that. Went to dinner together, sat next to him at dinner, and really got a chance to talk to him and to get to know him a little bit better. But I say it was like cats and dogs getting together. It was like, you know, matter and antimatter getting together, and luckily nothing exploded, because we're so different. We're so different. But it turns out that maybe we're not as different as I thought we were, because he wasn't vaping at like 200 watts. He was more like at 40 watts, using his own atomizer, and seemed like a nice enough guy, you know. Well, you asked the question.
Is he really like calm in person, or is he really hyper like he is in his videos? That's
a good question. He, every now and then when you're talking to him, you see Rip Tripper in the video, right? Mm-hmm. You can see that look in his eyes. You can see his eyes get really big and wide, and when he gets passionate about what he's talking about. But it not as over the top as in the videos. I didn't think anyway. But in talking to him, every now and then you see like some of that Rip Tripper's like excitement and that, you know, that energy there.
Nice.
That would have been awesome to meet him.
Yeah,
but, I mean, he was super cool. He was super nice to me. You know, but you know, everybody's going to get a different perspective on people depending on who it is you're meeting and who's meeting that person. The first thing that he said to me was there's the guy there. That's the reason why I do the videos, right? So like he was kind of humble with me, really, really warm and welcoming, handshake, hug, everything. For me, it was a good experience. I know, you know, there's a lot of Rip Trippers haters out there. I'm sure there's BusaRDO haters too. But I couldn't say anything bad about the experience.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's gonna have haters now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well.
Question in chat. They want to know if you're going to come out with your own rap song.
My own rap song?
Yeah, you know Rip Trippers did a rap song, right, on this channel?
No, I didn't know that.
He came out with his own rap song last week, I think.
There's so many funny things that I want to do. Like years ago, I actually I wrote a. It's funny that you say that because I wrote a rap, and I was going to do this like funny thing about reviewers and where you spend your money and everything. It's always time. It's always time. I don't necessarily have the time to do some of the funny stuff that I want to do. Like I've got a follow-up to the Legal Vape 4000 video that's been on my mind that I want to do so bad. And it's called the, and if I share this, somebody else will do it, but that's okay. It's called the Liquidator 4000, right? The idea is because of these tanks and because how much liquid they're going through and because of how often that you got to fill them, it's basically, you see one of those hats with the beer cans with the straw that goes into your mouth. Yep. Well, I want to do something like that, but you could put like 120 ml bottles in there. Basically, you run the leads right into your atomizer, so you can you can vape for like a week and not have to fill it. So, and I'm sure that video would get like a whole lot of thumbs down, a lot of hate, but that's my sense of humor, man. That's can't laugh at yourself. Who can you laugh at?
China's cloning that as we speak.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
Taylor's got a good question. He's like, not to sound like an ass, but does he really do autographs? I've never heard of someone asking for another vapor's autograph. I'll tell you something, Taylor.
There you go.
Shopping for furniture. I went to a Raymore and Flanagan. This was probably like 3 or 4 months ago with the wife. We walk into this place. It was out in Long Island, New York. Walk into the place. And the guy's like, "Oh my God, this is the salesman, Mike Vapes." He's like, "We're gonna take care of you. What do you need?" I was like, "What the fuck's going on?" I was like, "Oh my God!" Everybody that worked in there watched my videos. They were all vaping. They sat me down. I actually got video. My wife took video, but she thought she was hilarious. They sat me down. He was making me. He took a picture of me with him, and then he printed them out on a computer in their office, and he made me sign pictures and stuff. It was the craziest thing. I was like, "What the hell?" I came for furniture, and I'm signing autographs in a fucking Raymore and Flanagan's. Yeah.
Right.
Who the hell would not want a BusaRDO autograph?
Me, Scott, Mike, Mark.
I would take one any day.
It's really a surreal experience, and I think Michael will attest to that, right? Because I don't consider myself anything special, right? But if my autograph can bring some joy to somebody, if my autograph can inspire somebody, if my autograph can maybe make some more money for advocacy, fine, I'll do it. I have absolutely no problem with that. But you also got to understand, in the back of my mind, I'm going, why the fuck does anybody want my autograph? First of all, like if I were to autograph something, this is a real story. Years ago at a show, a girl came up to me. She said, "Will you please sign my mod?" I said, "All right, so I'll sign the inside of the cover." "No, I want you to sign the outside of your mod." I said, "Really?" I said, you don't want me to ruin your mod. I mean, like I have the handwriting of a 3-year-old. I say this all. I write lefty. I've been an engineer my entire life. I type. I don't write anything, right? So I signed her mod, and then I looked at it, and I'm like, oh my God. I was like so embarrassed. I took her to a booth. I bought her the same mod, the one that I just signed. I said, "Here, use this one, and this one you could just kind of put on a shelf somewhere." But it's like even the photographs. I mean, years ago I'd go into a show, and all of a sudden there's like a line of folks that want to take photographs with me. And to me, to this day, that's still a little odd. It's a little odd because in my mind, I'm just Phil. There's nothing special about me. I just got a passion for vaping and helping other people with vaping. I didn't expect, anybody to want my autograph or my photo. That is not the goal of why I started this whole thing. It's not about fame. It's about people not smoking anymore, right? That's the core of what I do. So it's always weird. I was at one show, and like I had this line of people and this whole like group of people taking photographs, and I like leaned to the guy and said, "I feel like an ugly Britney Spears." I mean, it's just weird. It's really, really weird. So it's weird, but if it brings happiness to somebody, let's do it.
I think what it is a lot of people do not watch regular television.
Yeah. I find myself doing that a lot more too, Mike, now, where I find a lot more enjoyment and a lot more entertainment just, surfing YouTube than I do watching mainstream TV.
So we're basically like the Hollywood actors in a way. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're watching regular television and you're gonna see Brad Pitt, you want a picture with Brad Pitt, right?
Absolutely. Well,
a lot of people don't watch regular TV.
Did you just equate yourself with Brad Pitt? Because
no, I was actually equating you.
No, I think you did. I think you equated yourself with Brad Pitt. I'd put you more in the George Clooney category, Mike, not Brad Pitt. No. But I think a lot of it too has to do with the emotion and the power of what we're doing too, because a lot of people have struggled their entire lives with quitting smoking. Right? They've tried to cut back, it didn't work. They've tried to quit cold turkey, it didn't work. They got to the patches and the gums and the Chantix, and it didn't work. And all of a sudden, they find this thing called vaping, and maybe they latch onto a reviewer that's really helped them. And it's because of that reviewer, and it's because of the information that they've gotten from the community that they were able to kick this habit that chained them their entire lives. There's a lot of emotion there. I've had grown men. Like muscle guys come up to me crying because they were able to quit smoking, right? So and if you're the person that helped them do that, they kind of they latch on to you, man. It's big. It's big for a lot of people.
Well, you definitely are a figure that somebody, I mean, you've been in this business a while. People look up to you just like they look up to Mike and Mark, I mean, I know as much as I enjoy vaping, I mean, yeah, YouTube is big for me now, and that's why I kind of got involved doing YouTube stuff, is because I enjoy it so much. But I mean, if I could help just one or two people, which in the past obviously I have, because I've gotten emails before stating, hey, thank you for what you do and stuff like that. I mean, that alone makes me feel awesome. If it's just one person. So
it is. And that feels really good. It feels really good when somebody comes up to you and says, thank you, you've helped me quit smoking, right? That's probably one of the best things that I can hear at a show, at an event, or anything. That's why I always say, I've got a lot of really nice devices. I've got a lot of nice mods. A lot of nice things have happened to me because of vaping, but my awards are on my website. And it's the success stories page. Those are my awards in vaping. That's what means the most to me. Out of everything that I have, that page means the most to me.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely. Well, we've kind of extended our time a little bit today, only because my man's on here. But
did we? That's right. You only have an hour, right?
That's right.
Well, I'll hang around some more if you want.
Yeah, we'll do another 15 and then we'll cut it. So. Okay. What kind of you have any U.S. future events going on that you're going to try to hit, or is it basically out of the country stuff going on?
I haven't, God, BCC Kevin's invited me to several events to go there, and those have all fell through because of prior commitments and travel. Outside of that, I don't know what my next U.S. event is. I honestly don't. I really don't know. The next thing that I'm doing in the U.S., like I said, is the Evolve Tour.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It's the 15th. I'm going to drive there like ridiculously early in the morning. I'm taking my wife with me. We should get there around 9 o'clock, and it's just going to be talking with them, trying to get some information out of them about what's coming up next, but they're always tight-lipped with all that stuff. And just kind of showing the before and after, the first time that I visited their factory compared to what it looks like now, and obviously sharing that with all of you.
Nice. There was a question out there way earlier I forgot to hit, but somebody asked, what is your thoughts on the DNA 75C? I know you have video up on it, but just kind of maybe a quick, what do you think?
Well, so my experience with the C so far was I like the fact that it allows us to customize the mod unlike any other mod that's out there right now, right? Because you could really change the user interface. The problem that I'm seeing with it is, first of all, I think the screen is too small, right? Yeah. And I think because you have the ability to pack so much information on that screen, it winds up being too small. Now, when I first looked at that, I was like, well, okay, we could make everything better, and then we could scroll down, but you can't, right? You're limited to what you see on that screen. You can't have stuff below and be able to scroll up. So that's one thing that I've noticed. It does make for an easier to use DNA product, without a doubt, in my opinion. When it comes to temperature control, I'm still off. I'm still off on all of my DNA 75Cs. I tend to have to be much hotter in my setting than I'm used to. And I'm not sure if that's a firmware thing. I'm not sure if that's a setup thing. I'm not sure. I don't have any more recent outside of the ones that I have DNA 75C products. But that's what I've noticed anyway when I compare them side by side with a 75 or a 60 and the 75C, that I have to be much hotter in temperature control. But, color is an interesting thing. Color is nice to look at. It's pretty, right? But it's not necessarily our friend at times, because I've seen companies, including some of the skins on the DNA 75C, or I shouldn't call them skins, themes, or whatever they call them, where color is not your friend. Man, you want to say, oh well, if it's too hot, you throw a red text. Red text is like virtually impossible to see, especially with my eyes that are getting older now. My arm tends to not be long enough anymore to see things, so I have to switch the glasses at times. But I've seen companies do things with color that really shouldn't be done. It looks cool, but it's not practical, and it's not readable. It's not visible. So my experience with the DNA 75C, I like the fact that it makes a DNA product easier to use. You don't have to remember key sequences, and you got to be locked to do this and all this other jazz. But I would like to see a bigger screen, or at least the ability to scroll down so that you can have more information on that screen.
Yeah, those are the exact issues I'm having with the 75C. You nailed it. And it's funny that you mentioned that too, is because like the Lost Vape Therion, I know Daniel helped them out to make their theme, and we were sitting there. I was sitting with Daniel, and we were discussing. I think, man, you can't even read some of the stuff because of the theme, the colors they blend in with the other color, and it's like you can't. The font is too small.
Yep.
It's like I don't get it. I just wanted color is cool, but I just rather have a black screen, white lettering, where I could see everything and be able to operate it.
I took one of the themes, Mike,
for a theme.
Yeah, I took one of the themes, and basically I changed. I liked the theme, and I changed all the colors. All the colors are now light blue and yellow, and it makes it so much easier to see and white, obviously, and it makes it so much easier to use the product than it was before. But vaping is a young game. There's a lot of young eyes looking at this stuff, and everything is still sharp and crystal clear and really easy to see. And I talked to my optometrist about this, and what happens is as we age, our eyes actually start to squeeze down, right? They start to, and that's why you see a lot of older people, they require glasses, right? Because things aren't in focus anymore. So for a lot of people, it's gonna be like, what is Phil talking about? Everything's perfect on the screen. I can see everything, right? And then maybe people my age going, well, yeah, I totally understand what he's saying. I can't see shit anymore, right? So like I said, if I can be that guy that speaks to that crowd, awesome.
But I do have to say though, like, did you get the paranormal?
I did not get that yet.
On this one here though, they kind of changed it around. The theme, they changed it from the Therion, and it's much better. It's more where I could see everything and operate it easier. It's more clear. They didn't put a background of maybe like a mountain or something.
Yeah,
where it's distracting.
Yeah. Well, when I was in Toronto, I was talking to Sean and Richard from Flavor Art, and they did a Flavor Art theme, right? And I looked at it. I said that it looks really, really cool, but totally unusable, right? Yeah. Because they use the white and colored Flavor Art logo for the background, and you can't see anything on it, right? Mm-hmm. But I mean, this is what people are doing. They're modifying it to the way that they like it, or they want to use it, and that's okay. That's okay, but it just doesn't work for everybody. Yeah, Lost Vape, they don't contact me. They don't send me a whole lot of product. I don't know why that is, but oh well.
Well, that's the thing with me too.
What'd you do to him, Phil? You did something to him.
I did nothing. The only thing, I reviewed their parallel DNA 75, and I liked it. The one thing that I didn't like was the mechanical reverse battery protection. It eats batteries. It chews up the tops of batteries. Bad.
The 75C Therion, right?
Well, the 75C Therion and the 75 that I looked at before this one, which was just the 75, that reverse battery, mechanical reverse battery protection up at the top, it chews up batteries.
Phil, I'll tell you something.
Tell me.
Batteries?
Yeah.
That you see here? I haven't taken them out of there. I just charge them with it. I can't because of what you said. And I've told them. I told them, you guys need to do something about this because you can't. You're going to destroy batteries taking them out.
Yeah.
That's
what I tend to do. I'll put it, like, if I'm going to use it, I'll put batteries in there, just leave them. Kind of like a radius, right? Just leave them in there and just charge it.
Yeah.
They become internal batteries at that point.
Yeah.
So you'll have to hit your PayPal up and we'll get that all worked out. Anyway, oh goodness. Any other questions out there in chat for Phil? I mean, I had to save up, a good couple of months just to get them on this one, so I'll have to save up again to get them again. So, just kidding, folks, because we know how this stuff goes.
I think this is going to be my next video. I'm going to do a quick video on this maybe this week. This is the Lady Q. Have you seen this one from Artery?
Oh gosh, I've been hearing about it.
Yep, it's here's why I like this device, right? I like a device that can pull more people into vaping, right? And this is designed for a lady. So number one, it gives something for Dimitri to use. And number two, it's the only thing about this, like I want it to work like a real lipstick, right? I want to be able to twist it and like it comes out like that Kanger product, right? But you kind of pull this out and there's your little tank and then you just sit it on the top and you use it. And it's got a touch button on the bottom, right? So it winds up becoming a really dainty little thing for a lady because she could use her pinky and just touch the bottom and use it.
That's pretty sweet.
Which I think is kind of cool. I think it's a kind of a cool idea, right? And I've got like a couple other colors that are more feminine than this one, but anything like this that can bring in more people to vaping. Maybe a lady will look at this and say, "Oh, that's something that I would use." I think that it's a little bit too wide for the tank that's sitting on the top of it, but like let's bring in more women, let's bring in more minorities, let's bring in all of these people to vaping where the products have not necessarily been tailored to them, right? So I like stuff like this.
Have you seen the new one it's called the Sexy Vape?
Is that the dildo?
I actually got it. They sent me this picture and they asked me if I wanted to review it.
Oh my god, I want to review that.
Yeah, they sent it.
I've been seeing that floating all over Facebook.
So my response to them was WTF, what the fuck?
Oh, you got to review it, dude.
Oh man.
And they messaged me back there. It's Vape Kit Plus sex toy, new product.
Yeah, see, that'll bring ladies into vaping.
But it's got
you know what?
It's color though.
It is the whole kit is designed. I actually think Dimitri might be behind that one. let's start that conspiracy right here. Well, you know what? The good news is it's not advertised towards children. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. All right. On that, folks, we're gonna get the hell out of here. Again, Phil, as always, thanks you for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have you on here. I'm hoping at one point in time, because I know Dimitri is out of the country right now, correct?
Yeah, I think he's back in about a half a week now.
Yeah. I want to get that show together where I can get y'all both on the same show here just to show the
that'd be fun.
Yeah, the fun side of things and not the business side of it. So one day we will get that together. But
the ball busting will be great. Yeah. You when he gets back, I'll talk to him. I'll make sure that happens.
Definitely.
By the way, since we're talking about Dimitri, do any of you wear Skechers?
I do.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what his problem is with Skechers. I was wearing Skechers in China, and he says, those are old people's shoes. They're dad shoes. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like look, I got a lot of respect for Dimitri when it comes to advocacy, but when it comes to style and fashion, like not even a little bit. And he's making this, and he made like this big deal out of it, and he like did a poll where on his show where he was asking people, are Skechers old people and dad shoes? I'm like, first of all, look at the people who like watch your show. I can't imagine that they're much into fashion either, but. Yeah, so we've had this. I call it Skechers Gate now. She's got these weird things going on.
Wear the white ones.
I got a black sneakers. What do you call it? Blue sneakers from them. I've got dress shoes from them. They're a stylish shoe, man. I don't know what he's talking about.
White ones are kind of grandpa looking, but yeah.
Well, but those are because you have the slip-ons, correct?
Who?
You, Mark.
Yeah, I do. I own the slip-on ones. I own the gym shoes. I own a lot of theirs because they're wide width shoes. That's why I like them. They're really wide.
See, Mark, you've gone up a couple points in my book right now because clearly you know a lot about vaping. You have a lot of vaping products behind you, all very, very well displayed in your cabinet there, and you have really good shoes. So
I'm also a huge fan of Crocs too. So.
Well, there goes those points that you gained.
You don't like Crocs? Oh my God! You got to try a pair of Crocs. I guarantee you.
Now
you'll love them.
I wouldn't be caught dead in a pair of Crocs.
You'll love them.
So hold on. What's the problem with the Crocs then?
I don't like the way they look.
I was the same way. I tried a pair on. I'm like, wow, these are amazing. And
and that's what I hear from everybody who tries a pair on too. Yep.
They actually are pretty damn comfortable.
If things go like belly up with the vaping, I could always review Skechers and Mark can review Crocs.
Yep, definitely. All right, folks, we're getting out of here. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for the panel being here with us. All that good stuff. We're out of here till next time, next week, same time, same place. We're out. Don't forget the vape team tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern. So we are gone. Night-night. Or, well, not night-night.
Night-night.
Can't say night-night. Hell, that's still morning time. Never mind. We're out of here. Bye.
Thanks so much, Scott. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Later.